Olivia stood at attention, her back pressed against the cold metal wall of the Zaxian mothership. Her pulse rifle clutched tightly in her hands. The distant rumble of the ship engines vibrated through her boots. She was just a human guard assigned to protect the diplomatic team, but something felt wrong. The air shimmered near the corridor entrance as three tall, slender figures materialized, their skin gleaming with an iridescent blue sheen. The lead alien stepped forward, her 7 fingers, splayed in what the humans had learned was a gesture of authority. "We require your presence, Olivia Reeves." The alien spoke, her voice like wind chimes in a storm. The translation device on Olivia's collar struggled to keep up him, just a security detail. Olivia replied, her eyes never leaving the center alien whose elaborate headpiece marked her as someone of importance in the Zaxian hierarchy. "My orders are to remain at this post." The alien tilted her head, crystal eyes narrowing. "You're just a guard," she said with a dismissive flick of her wrist. "Yet you humans always surprise us. Come with us now, or your diplomats will suffer consequences, with no choice." Olivia followed the aliens through twisting corridors that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The walls pulsed with strange energy, as if the ship itself was alive after what seemed like hours. They arrived at an enormous chamber where the ceiling stretched upward into darkness. In the center sat the Zaxian queen, her body twice the size of her subjects, with skin that rippled with colors that had no names in human language. Her eyes fixed on Olivia, with ancient intelligence. "So this is the human guard," Valara said, the queen, her voice resonating directly in Olivia's mind, the one who disrupted. "Our scans of your ship technology." Olivia maintained her composure despite the fear clawing at her throat. "I was doing my job, Your Majesty. Unauthorized scans violate Section 7 of the Peace Treaty." The queen rose from her crystalline throne, towering over Olivia, her long limbs unfolding like a deadly flower. "Humanity sends a mere guard to face me. How typical of your arrogant species." Olivia felt the weight of hundreds of alien eyes watching her from the shadows of the chamber. She understood now why she had been brought here. This was a test, perhaps even a trap. "You believe that physical strength determines worth." The queen continued, circling Olivia like a predator. "Your species is weak, fragile. Yet you spread across the stars with such confidence." "We adapt," Olivia answered, her mind racing through the emergency protocols she had memorized. "We learn. We endure." The queen laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your diplomatic team knows nothing of our true intentions, guard. But perhaps you. Do your mind feels different from the others?" With a sudden motion, the queen pressed a cold hand against Olivia's forehead. Pain lanced through her body as alien consciousness pushed against her own. Olivia gasped, but did not break her training kicking in as she activated her neural shield implant, a technology the Zaxians knew nothing about. The queen recoiled, hissing with surprise. "What is this resistance?" Olivia straightened her shoulders, something the alien diplomats had never seen, coming a human, with military-grade neural defense systems against psychic invasion. One of 50 experimental subjects trained for first contact scenarios. "I may be just a guard, Your Majesty, but human guards are more than they appear." The chamber erupted with murmurs. As the queen studied Olivia with new interest, the human diplomatic team was a distraction. "Wasn't it?" the queen said. "They know nothing about our capabilities. While you," she pointed a long finger at Olivia, "have been gathering intelligence all along." Olivia remained silent, confirming the queen's suspicions. Fascinating, the queen moved closer. "The guard's implants are connected to your ship, aren't they? Broadcasting everything we say, everything we do." Olivia smiled for the first time since her capture and activated her secondary implant, causing the lights in the chamber to flicker momentarily. "Not just broadcasting, Your Majesty, analyzing your ship systems too." The queen's skin darkened with emotion. "Impossible. Your technology is primitive compared to our humans specialize in the impossible." Olivia replied, "We knew the Zaxians were planning something from intercepted communications 6 months ago. Instead of confronting you directly, we decided to learn more." "What else can you do?" Guard, the queen demanded, her earlier dismissiveness replaced with cautious respect. "Let's talk about that treaty again," Olivia suggested, her confidence growing as she recognized the shift in power, the real treaty, not the public version. The one that protects both our species from the Crawl Empire moving toward your territory. The queen stood absolutely still. her eyes widening at the mention of their common enemy. The Crawl, a species so ancient and powerful that even the Zaxians feared them. "You know about the Crawl incursion," the Queen whispered. Olivia nodded. "We detected their scout ships 3 solar cycles ago, while your diplomats were distracting ours with trade negotiations. Humanity has been preparing defenses that could benefit both our species." For the first time, fear flickered across the Queen's features. "The Crawl cannot be stopped. They have destroyed 12 advanced civilizations, perhaps not by either of us alone." Olivia agreed. "But together, the Zaxian, biotechnology combined with human adaptability and tactical thinking, we might stand a chance." The Queen studied Olivia for a long moment. "You were sent here to propose an alliance against the Crawl, correct?" Olivia confirmed. "Our diplomats don't know the full situation, only that they needed to get a special operations team member aboard your ship. Someone who could speak directly to you about the threat we face." The Queen returned to her throne, gesturing for Olivia to approach her guards, standing. "Down for the first time, you humans continue to surprise us. I dismissed you as just a guard," she admitted. Olivia smiled. "Sometimes being underestimated is our greatest advantage." The Queen nodded slowly, summoning her advisors with a gesture of her hand. "Bring the human refreshment and prepare the War Council," she ordered. "We have much to discuss about our common enemy," as the chamber filled with activity. Olivia activated the final sequence in her neural implant, sending a coded message to the human fleet waiting at the edge of the system. The first stage of Operation Alliance was complete humanity, and the Zaxians would face the Crawl together, proving once again that humans were far more than they appeared. 2 solar days later, Olivia sat in the Zaxian war room surrounded by the highest-ranking military leaders of the alien empire. She had been given quarters fit for a royal diplomat and access to information that no human had ever seen before. Commander Shala, the Queen's second, in command, approached Olivia, her slender form gliding across the floor without seeming to touch it. "The Queen trusts you," she said, her voice like metal scraping glass. "I do not." Olivia nodded in understanding. "Your caution is reasonable, Commander. If our positions were reversed, I would feel the same." The commander leaned closer, studying Olivia's face with multifaceted eyes that shifted color with her mood. "Why would humans help us after we plan to infiltrate your defense systems?" "Because the Crawl are coming for all of us," Olivia replied simply. "And when faced with extinction, old grudges seem pointless." The war room door slid open with a soft hiss as the Queen entered, all the Zaxians bowing low, their foreheads touching the floor. Olivia remained standing as human protocol dictated. "Rise," the Queen commanded, taking her place at the head of the crystalline table that dominated the center of the room. "Our sensors have detected Crawl vessels entering the outer reaches of our territory." Olivia stepped forward, activating her neural implant to interface with the Zaxian holographic display system. The table surface shimmered as 3-dimensional star maps materialized, showing the positions of enemy ships. "These are scout vessels," Olivia explained, pointing to the red markers at the edge of Zaxian space. "Thin probes testing our defenses. The main fleet will follow in approximately 60 Earth day show." "Do you know this?" Commander Shala asked. Suspicion evident in her tone, Olivia met the commander's gaze steadily. "Because we faced them before," she said quietly. 2 years ago, they attacked one of our outer colonies. We lost contact within hours, but one ship escaped, bringing back data and a warning." The Queen gestured and the star map expanded, showing both Zaxian and human territories in relation to the approaching threat. "So humanity has already suffered Crawl attacks. Yet you kept this information secret, even from your own diplomatic corps." "Classified information," Olivia confirmed. "Restricted to military high command and special operations. Some of our own leaders believed the attack was an isolated incident, but those of us who studied the data know better. The Crawl are methodical. They test, then they evaluate, then they consume." 3 days later, aboard the human science vessel Solstice, Olivia watched as Nyala worked alongside human geneticists in the main laboratory. The Zaxian scientist had adapted quickly to human equipment, her 7-fingered hands moving with surprising dexterity across unfamiliar interfaces. Dr. Kelly Morgan. The lead human scientist approached Olivia, her expression serious. "We've made a breakthrough," she said, "but you're not going to like it." "Explain." Olivia requested. Kelly brought up a holographic display, showing complex molecular structures. The Zaxian toxin can be modified to require less royal genetic material. But we still need a significant sample, and there's another problem. Olivia studied the display. "What kind of problem?" "It's the delivery system." Kelly explained the toxin must be introduced directly into the crawl neural network, which means someone has to board the main crawl vessel. Olivia finished the sentence, her stomach sinking. "It's a suicide mission." Kelly nodded grimly. "Even with our best stealth technology and your neural implants, the chances of survival are less than 12%. Olivia turned to look through the observation window at Nyala, who was deeply focused on her work. "Does she know?" "Yes," Kelly confirmed. "She says shall go." Olivia shook her head. "No, she won't." "I will." Kelly started to protest, but the determined look in Olivia's eyes stopped her. "This was always my mission." She continued, "I was selected because I'm expendable. A guard, not a diplomat or scientist, but you're the only one with the neural implants that can interface with both human and Zaxian systems." Kelly argued, "Exactly. Which makes me the only one who can navigate a crawl vessel, upload the toxin, and transmit the activation sequence." Olivia turned back to Kelly with renewed purpose. "We need to modify my implants for maximum crawl compatibility over the next week." Olivia underwent a series of painful procedures to enhance her neural system for the mission ahead. The modifications would allow her to temporarily connect with the crawl hive mind long enough to deploy the toxin before it overwhelmed her consciousness. Nyala worked tirelessly refining the formula until she was confident it would work against the current crawl biology. Still, they faced one insurmountable obstacle. They needed Royal Zaxian genetic material. "We have to return to the mothership." Olivia told the mission commanders during the final briefing, "I need to convince the Queen to cooperate." Commander Harris, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair, shook her head. "The Queen will never agree to sacrifice herself." "She might," Olivia insisted, "if she understands what's truly at stake." "Permission granted," Commander Harris said after a long pause. "But this is diplomatic, not military. If you fail, we proceed with the conventional defense plan." "Understood." "Crystal clear," Olivia confirmed. 48 hours later, Olivia stood once again in the Zaxian throne room, the Queen regarding her with suspicion. "You disappeared without notice," the Queen said, her voice cold. "Our alliance was just beginning and you vanished, taking one of my scientists with you. Explain yourself." Guard Olivia took a deep breath. "Your Majesty, what I am about to tell you violates multiple protocols on both sides, but the situation demands honesty." She proceeded to explain everything. The ancient Zaxian connection to the crawl, the toxin, Nyala's knowledge, and the modified plan. When she finished, the throne room was silent, the Queen staring at her with unreadable alien eyes. "You ask me to sacrifice myself," the Queen finally said, her voice strangely calm. "Not your life," Olivia clarified. "Just enough genetic material to synthesize the toxin. The procedure would weaken you significantly. But our doctors believe you would recover." The Queen rose from her throne, moving to a crystalline window that overlooked the vast Zaxian fleet assembled in preparation for the crawl attack. "You humans are strange creatures," she mused, "willing to sacrifice yourselves for others, even aliens who plan to betray you. We value life," Olivia said simply. "All life." The Queen turned, fixing Olivia with her penetrating gaze. "You will die on this mission." "Probably," Olivia admitted with a slight shrug. "Yet you volunteer anyway," the Queen continued. "Why? Because someone has to," Olivia replied. "And because I'm just a guard." The Queen studied her for a long moment, then made her decision. "I will provide what you need, but on one condition." "Name it," Olivia said. "When this is over, if you somehow survive, you will return to help rebuild the alliance between our people." The Queen said, "I find I prefer honest enemies to false friends." Olivia bowed her head in agreement. "I give you my word." The day of the mission arrived too quickly. Olivia stood in the launch bay of the stealth vessel that would take her to the edge of the crawl fleet. Her combat suit reinforced with Zaxian biotechnology that would help mask her life signs from crawl sensors. Nyala approached, carrying a small container that pulsed with blue light. The toxin is ready, she said, her voice solemn. It will remain stable for 20 standard hours after that. It degrades rapidly. Olivia took the container, securing it to her suit's internal compartment. Thank you for everything, she said. The Zaxian scientist hesitated, then performed a formal Zaxian gesture of respect. You have shown me that humans are more than we believed you to be, she said. You have shown me what courage truly means. Commander Harris stepped forward, conducting final equipment checks. The stealth ship will get you within 5 kilometers of the main crawl vessel. She explained from there you'll use the boarding pod. It's Zaxian technology designed to mimic crawl biological signatures. And if they detect me anyway? Olivia asked. Then you activate the emergency protocols. Harris replied, her expression grim. The toxin container includes a detonation option. It won't be as effective as direct neural network upload, but it will damage their ship enough to give our fleet a chance. Olivia nodded, understanding the implications. Mission parameters accepted, she said. Formally. Harris clasped her shoulder briefly. Good hunting, guard. The journey to the crawl fleet took 3 days of tense silent travel. The stealth ship moving cautiously through enemy sensor nets as they approached Olivia. Spent the time in meditation, focusing her mind for what was to come. The neural implants required perfect concentration for maximum effectiveness. Finally, the pilot, a woman named Samantha with steady hands and steadier nerves, brought them to the deployment point. We're in position. She announced, This is as close as we dare go. Olivia checked her equipment one last time, then moved to the boarding pod. The small craft, barely large enough for one person, the interior lined with pulsing Zaxian biotech. Tell the Queen. I kept my promise, she said to Niala, who had insisted on accompanying her to this final point. I will. The scientist promised as the pod sealed shut with a soft hiss. The launch was silent. The pod ejected into space with only minimal thrusters guiding it toward the massive crawl vessel that loomed in the distance like a great dark storm cloud in space. The ship's surface rippled and shifted as if alive, which in many ways it was. Olivia controlled her breathing as the pod approached the crawl vessel, the onboard system searching for a vulnerable point of entry. Suddenly the pod shuddered as it was pulled toward the larger ship, caught in some kind of tractor beam or biological attraction field. This wasn't in the mission briefing, Olivia thought grimly, as the pod accelerated toward the crawl ship, her heart pounding in her chest as she prepared for premature discovery. Instead, the pod slipped through the outer membrane of the ship with surprising ease, the biological material of the vessel parting to admit what it sensed as compatible matter. Olivia's pod came to rest in what appeared to be a collection chamber filled with debris from destroyed ships and stations. The crawl were apparently scavengers as well as conquerors, activating her neural implants. Olivia slipped from the pod, her suit automatically adjusting to mimic the surrounding biological patterns. The crawl ship was warm, humid, and pulsing with life. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, and strange fluids flowed through transparent tubules that ran along the corridors. Her enhanced senses detected electrical patterns similar to neural impulses flowing through the ship's structure, guiding her toward what must be the central processing node of the crawl hive mind. She moved carefully, avoiding what appeared to be maintenance drones, shambling biomechanical entities that tended to the ship's systems. Twice she had to hide as larger crawl beings moved through the corridors. Their forms a disturbing blend of organic and mechanical parts, with multiple limbs and sensory organs that swiveled independently, searching for anomalies. The central node, when she finally reached it, was a massive chamber filled with pulsing crystalline structures that emitted frequencies. Her implants translated as data communications, billions of signals flowing outward to the fleet and inward from individual crawl drones. Olivia approached the main crystalline structure, removing the toxin container from her suit as she prepared the injection system. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber, the crystalline structures pulsing red with warning she had been detected. With no time for the careful approach, Olivia ran toward the central crystal, her neural implants extending connection filaments toward the structure as crawl security drones poured into the chamber behind her. The first connection was like fire in her brain as the crawl consciousness pushed against her own millions of alien thoughts, threatening to overwhelm her neural shields. She fought back using techniques she had trained in for years, focusing her mind into a narrow point of pure purpose. With the last of her strength, she plunged the toxin injector into the crystal matrix and activated the upload sequence, simultaneously linking her neural implants to both the toxin distribution system and the crawl communication network. Pain beyond anything she had ever experienced tore through her body as the crawl tried to sever the connection, but it was too late. The toxin was already flowing through the neural network, spreading outward to connected vessels, the hive mind screaming in agony as its biology turned against itself as darkness closed in around her. Olivia activated her emergency beacon, feeling a distant satisfaction as her neural implants confirmed successful toxin distribution. Throughout 80% of the crawl fleet, their last conscious thought was of the Queen's words, "You're just a guard." Perhaps, she thought as consciousness faded. But sometimes a guard is exactly what you need. 3 weeks later, Olivia opened her eyes to find herself in a medical bay that blended human and Zaxian technology. The Queen herself standing at her bedside. "You live," the Queen stated, her voice showing rare emotion. "I did not expect this outcome." "Neither did I," Olivia admitted, her voice rough. "From disuse, how human determination," the Queen said, "and Zaxian medical science, a rather effective combination. It seems the alliance is already proving beneficial." Olivia attempted to sit up, wincing at the pain that shot through her body. The crawl defeated. The Queen confirmed, "At least this fleet, there will be others eventually. But we have time now, time to prepare properly." As true allies, Olivia smiled weakly. "So I kept my promise after all?" The Queen nodded, placing a gentle hand on Olivia's shoulder. "No longer just a guard," she said with something like respect in her voice, "but a bridge between our peoples and perhaps the savior of both." The Zaxian military advisors exchanged worried glances as Olivia continued her briefing. "The crawl use biomechanical weapons ships that are part machine, part living organism. They adapt to whatever defensive measures we implement." She pulled up images captured from the colony attack, showing massive dark vessels with surfaces that writhed and pulsed like living tissue. One of the Zaxian scientists moved forward. Her name was Nyala, according to Olivia's neural translator. "This matches our ancient records," she said, her voice trembling. "The crawl invaded our original homeworld 2,000 years ago, forcing our ancestors to flee to this sector." Olivia nodded grimly. "They have a pattern. They hibernate for centuries, then awaken to feed and expand. They consider all other life forms as resources to be harvested." The Queen turned to Olivia, her expression unreadable. "What does humanity propose?" "We have developed experimental weapons designed to disrupt the crawl neural network," Olivia explained, accessing more classified files through her implant. "Our scientists believe their ships function as a hive mind. When one learns, they all learn. But this connection might be their weakness." Commander Shala leaned forward, studying the weapon schematics. "This technology could be adapted to our bioships," she said with grudging admiration. "Exactly," Olivia agreed. "It's why an alliance makes sense. Your organic technology combined with our disruptor weapons might give us a fighting chance." The War Council continued for hours as humans and Zaxians shared intelligence and developed strategy. By the time they adjourned, a preliminary defense plan was taking shape. As Olivia returned to her quarters, she felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. Both human and Zaxian, if they failed, both civilizations would fall to the crawl. She was halfway to her room when a shadowy figure stepped from an alcove. Olivia tensed her hand, moving toward the hidden blade in her sleeve. "Calm yourself." "Human," a familiar voice whispered. It was Nyala, the scientist from the War Council. "I need to speak with you privately." Olivia relaxed slightly but remained alert. "What about?" The scientist glanced nervously down the corridor. "Not here," she hissed. "Follow me." They traveled through rarely used maintenance tunnels until they reached what appeared to be an abandoned laboratory. Dust-covered equipment lined the walls and strange specimens floated in cloudy tanks. Nyala sealed the door behind them. "The Queen's story isn't complete," she said, her voice barely audible. "The crawl didn't just attack our homeworld, they were summoned." Olivia frowned. "Summoned by whom? Be our ancestors?" Nyala admitted an ancient faction of Zaxian scientists believed they could control the crawl, use them as weapons against our enemies. They were wrong, so terribly wrong. Olivia processed this revelation. "How does this help us?" Now Nyala moved to an old terminal, bringing up ancient text in the Zaxian language. Because the summoning created a link, she explained, our ancestors developed a biological countermeasure before they were overrun. A toxin specifically designed to attack crawl biology. Where is this toxin? Now Olivia asked. Destroyed, Nyala said. But I have the formula hidden in my genetic code passed down through generations of my family line. We scientists have ways of preserving crucial knowledge. Olivia studied the alien carefully. Why tell me this? Why not? The Queen Nyala turned away, her skin darkening with emotion. The Queen would never approve its development. The toxin would require Zaxian royal genetic material to synthesize our laws. Forbid using royal biology for weapons. I see, Olivia said, understanding. Dawning, the Queen would never sacrifice her genetic material. Even to save her people, it's worse. Nyala continued, the process would require significant amounts of royal DNA, so much that it would likely kill the donor. Olivia felt a chill run through her. The Queen has heirs, though, doesn't she? Nyala shook her head. No living heirs. The succession crisis is part of why our diplomatic mission to Earth was so aggressive. The royal line is failing. We needed new genetic material to study. Humans are surprisingly compatible with Zaxian biology, despite our differences, though. Without the Queen, the entire Zaxian leadership would collapse. Olivia concluded precisely, Nyala confirmed, and with no clear successor, our empire would fracture into warring factions, even as the crawl descended upon us. Olivia paced the dusty laboratory. Weighing options and scenarios, there must be another way. She said finally, some adaptation of the formula that would require less royal genetic material. Nyala hesitated. Perhaps, she admitted, I would need access to your human research facilities. Your genetic technology is different from ours, more flexible. In some ways, the combination might yield a solution. Olivia made her decision, activating her neural implant to contact the human fleet. Ill-arranged transport. She told Nyala, well, bring you to our research station in the Altair system. The scientist nodded gratefully. We must hurry, and we must maintain secrecy if the Queen discovers what we're planning. Well, face charges of treason. Olivia finished for her. I understand the risk.